there's no chance you would choose Bevezelet and then, throw that into the katakana machine and get 45 characters out of it.
Oh, no.
Hello, I'm Justin.
I'm Mark.
We're the J-Pops.
And we are attempting parenting in Japan.
Welcome, everyone. It is J-Pops episode 2 time. We have no guests this week. We're just going to fly into our segments, and we've got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, I want to go over some of our wives' current pregnancy statuses and kind of get into what we're doing in planning and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and what is your wife's current week count?
Right now, she's at 18 weeks and 3 days.
Oh boy, down to the day.
Down
even.
to the day.
Our wives are about 2 months apart. My wife is at 25 weeks and a few days, so I guess more like 7 weeks apart.
Yeah, so definitely more visibly pregnant.
Yeah, I'm the trailblazer in all of these milestones that are coming up, but I'm probably less studied, so
I don't know about that. I don't study that much.
Yeah. By the way, do you have pregnancy books piled up at your house?
We have a couple. We have 2 in Japanese that I don't know what they're called because I never look at them. Mm-hmm. And then I have 2 in English, the what to expect when you're expecting, and then what to eat when you're expecting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've got the English what to expect when you're expecting, and I think it's in its 5th edition now.
I think that's the one I got.
Yeah, we must
the most
have,
recent one.
So we're up to date on that, and it's just so overwhelmingly famous and popular in the United States. And there are a few criticisms of it here and there, but in the end, I looked it up on Google, and it had something like however many thousands of reviews, and it was like a 4.8 or 4.9 or something. So I thought the weight of public opinion is behind this book, and I don't want to miss out. So I got What to Expect When You're Expecting from Mercari for a little bit of a discount.
Oh, I'm surprised you found it there.
Yeah, it's hit and miss. But
in English even.
Yeah, the English one. What I like about that book, I guess I would recommend it. I mean, it's massive. It's really thick. It almost feels like a college textbook or something. But the good thing about it is you can disregard so much of it because it doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
Like the section headings might say, something like, what about smoking while pregnant or something? It's like, well, we don't smoke. It's not an issue. So you can skip over, chunks of it, and then you don't feel weighed down by this massive book.
Yeah, it definitely lends itself to be skimmed more than read.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like you should read it.
Yeah.
I think there are parts in the book where it just says, skip here.
Yeah.
And then there's the dad section that says, hey, if you're dad, read this section.
Yeah.
so yeah, it's very user-friendly.
Yeah, it's well mapped out. And I think the critiques that I've read, and I don't know if this applies to the current edition, I haven't gotten to that point myself yet, but there were a few critiques that the person who wrote the book is not themselves like a medical professional. But I believe the author consulted with several medical professionals as the editions went by.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, so I felt like the sort of scientific angle is accounted for in the book, so I was kind of fine with it. I was skeptical at first, but in the end I've been fine with it.
Yeah. And
the other thing is I read in some reviews that the author would then promote things like pseudo-scientific sort of approaches to things, or like these kind of odd therapies, or in terms of off the top of my head, I don't know, but things like, try an acupuncture or try this or that, and then things that are not necessarily backed up by the scientific community.
Right.
And then that seems to be the main critique. But as my wife and I have discussed it, it's like, well, it's a massive book, and as you're saying, you can skip over loads of it, so then you just take what seems valuable to you from the book, and that kind of gets the job done. Yeah.
From my reading of the book, I never got the sense that it's like, you need to do this, you need to do this. It's always more of a, this is an option, you don't have to, like, you can just skip this.
Yeah. So that book turned out to be better than I thought.
Yeah.
Other books are available, it should be said. That's just the one I have experience with.
Yeah, it seems to be the most famous one, which is why I got it as well.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, aside from that unpaid advertisement for what to expect when you're expecting, what else do we got on the list?
Always open to it.
Yeah. Call us up, publisher.
Yeah, my wife, so far she's doing good. She's definitely past the morning sickness phase and feeling better. However, we've gone into a weird too much food makes her uncomfortable and painful stage, and certain foods make her uncomfortable and painful stage. So like yesterday, I think it was the day before, we made some Thai food that was a little bit too spicy, and it just killed her the whole night. Like she had horrible sleep. Her stomach was just like painfully, like it was bad for her.
Yeah, we've done. I mean, this was a while back, but my wife kind of went through the phase. Morning sickness was very early on, and it was actually pretty brief and not too bad. And then the next phase was, this was first trimester stuff, but it was sort of, my wife would have dinner, like fill up a plate and then put it on the table and then not actually want to eat it. And it was like, I guess just a bit of, baby's getting a bit bigger, things are feeling a bit different in the body, and then she would realize, it's dinner time, but I don't really want to eat this dinner. And I mean, she would then, she would eat or nibble on this or that, and it only lasted for a week or two, and that was some first trimester stuff, but she quickly got over it, and she's like back to normal diet wise. But she had that same kind of like, not wanting to eat, or things just sort of didn't feel right, I guess, like food wise.
I don't think Moe ever had the not wanting to eat. It was always just the food was uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
And it still is. I mean, as the baby grows, it's taken real estate in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, not much space.
Yeah. And both of our wives at this point are into what we call TC mode, which is toilet chance mode.
Oh, for sure.
And I think my wife was born that way, just sort of like, the regular bathroom breaks, like on a car trip or something.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Now we are always on the lookout for a toilet chance, as we say in Japanese.
Yeah.
Toilet chance.
Yeah, we are as well. I'd say we're pretty good about it. Like, Moe's got the planning down, but it's still, I mean, you're in a car for more than 30 minutes, it's going to happen.
Yeah. You'll need to plan accordingly. Well, what else we got on the agenda?
So, what planning have you done so far?
Planning-wise, we have rearranged the house a little bit. And this is one of those things that, for me, it kind of signified like, oh, this is real. It's not just the idea of we're having a baby, but it's like, okay, now rearrange your house and make space for a roommate, because someone will be here.
Right. And
that was kind of, I'm sure you'll hit like dozens of those milestones as you go through the pregnancy, but that was a big one for me. We have a 2-bedroom situation upstairs. One room is a bit smaller, and that used to contain just our bed. And then the adjacent room was a bit bigger, and we just used the closet space in there, and it was empty, but we would walk in there and use it as a massive walk-in closet, basically.
Okay.
So one thing that we did, we decided to consolidate and stop being greedy and just move into one room. So I dismantled our bed and moved it to the next room. And,
the bigger room.
Yeah. So we took over I'm still a bit greedy. But we took over the bigger room. We've got our bed in there now for the first time. We were a single bedroom couple, and we our take on getting baby stuff is scan Facebook Marketplace, scan Mercari, or if you hear word of mouth that somebody's giving up a lot of their baby stuff, then just go load it all up, take every bit of it, and then sort through when you get home.
Yeah, because it's easy to get rid of baby stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So we now have a room's half full of baby things, like a crib and, little chest of drawers, and then baby odds and ends, like the kind of baby carrier papoose things loads and loads of stuff, little seats and chairs and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Nice.
So we're loading up, and we're trying to go as free as possible, or as discounty as possible, as used as possible. That's the theme right now. But how about you guys? Have you set aside space?
So planning, we haven't really done too much as far as baby buying has gone.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a room dedicated in our house to be a kid's room when they do arrive. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to start doing some crib shopping and that kind of stuff pretty soon. I was looking for some deals, but there's some stuff I'm kind of apprehensive about buying used, like a crib, or especially if it's somebody I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. In the next couple weeks, I plan to buy some more stuff, but right now, not much.
Yeah. I'm a big, it sounds a little like hippie-ish or whatever, but I'm a big reduce, reuse, recycle person. But then it does come up against, like, we've got this new delicate baby in the house, and you don't want to get some, like, half-built or, like, you know, falling down sort of piece of furniture for them. So those two ideas come up against each other a lot.
Yeah.
And another thing about it is maybe it's because I'm a child of the 80s, which was sort of the end of that era when, you know, you buy something and you keep it for the rest of your life. Like, I've often thought, you know, like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, if you spend a lot of money on something, it's like your bedroom suit or something. It's like we're going to sleep on this bed frame and use this chest of drawers until we die, you know?
Yeah.
And now, and these days, if you spend a lot of money on something, it's a computer and you know it's going to die within 3 or 4 years and you just get another one. And the amounts of money are sort of similar. And so I think now people are more used to sort of this disposable, like, high dollar item. But I'm still not. I still want things to last forever, basically.
Yeah, I definitely do as well.
Yeah.
But I'm cautious, especially about, I mean, I know things get broken. Everything has a limited use. So your car door, how many times can you open and close your car door before it falls off? It's more than you're going to be alive for sure, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's always my fear with that kind of stuff, especially with like newborn toys or cribs or anything like that.
Delicate baby stuff.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I feel like there's a lot of usefulness that's in a modern car seat. Like, as you say, like the belt's fine, the plastic frame of the car seat's fine, the cushions are fine. But then whoever bought it first only needed it for a handful of months, and then it's back on the market again, used.
I'm gonna go completely opposite. I'm never gonna buy a used car seat.
Oh yeah.
First of all, they have expiration dates.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you have to be kind of cautious about when it was first made, and I think it's on the bottom. I can't remember exactly right now, but I remember looking at one point and they actually have it printed on it like milk.
Oh wow.
So
wow.
Yeah,
milk.
I'd be cautious of that.
Yeah. Well, I just, I feel like if you walk in Japan, you've got 2nd Street is sort of the physical location to get used stuff.
Yeah.
And only recently have I been wandering into the baby and child section of 2nd Street to see what's there. And it's just overflowing because everyone only needs this stuff for a very short window. So I feel like it's a really good resource to kind of hop in and get a lot of used things there.
Yeah, sometimes you can find some good deals there. I think 2nd Street has probably got the better of the used stuff. Mm-hmm. There's another one in town called Book Off. Yeah. That has a sub store called Hard Off, and they have a lot of used kid stuff too that's a little bit cheaper. Yeah. But it's definitely harder used.
Part of me also just hates the idea of like there's a good used item on a shelf somewhere and then I'm ordering a new one to be delivered to my house when I could have like squeezed all the usefulness out of that used item. So that's in life, that's just kind of my setting. And then I've carried that over a lot into the baby stuff.
I'll try to be more like you.
Okay. At the risk of your child's safety. But yeah, it's something that's hard to shake. But also the other problem is family and some friends really want to buy something for the child. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but the best way to do this internationally is Amazon. You make a baby registry on Amazon, and that's pretty much the advice you'll find anywhere. Because the trouble is, you could make a baby registry on Target in the United States, for example, but Japan doesn't have Target, and then like the shipping would be astronomical or not available at all. Right. And it's just this massive problem if you were to make a registry like that. I don't even know if it's possible, actually. But for Amazon, it's sort of worldwide. It works. You can search for things that are available in Japan, put those on your registry, and then people from any country can just purchase them at like no markup or anything. And you know that the shipping is within the country as well.
Has anyone purchased from your registry yet?
We haven't really unleashed the registry. We spent a week or two like loading things up onto the registry, and we've got it pretty much done as we want it. We just haven't. It's that awkward step of sending out the registry.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, if somebody
without coming across needy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, will you buy me something? And, send that email out. But people do want to buy you things because they feel like it's their obligation. So it helps them to have this like handy guide of things to buy, and get some high dollar items for people who want to go crazy. Get a lot of low dollar items for people who want to cobble together a purchase of in their mind $30, $50, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So we, I don't know how many we have. Dozens, maybe 100 items on Amazon.
I've got 50 something on mine right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I heard that our wives have scoured each other's Amazon baby registries.
Yeah.
And then added to our own respective baby registries.
Yeah. Moe told me she found yours and started copying it.
All of our hard work.
So if we ever start buying for each other, we're going to buy the same stuff for each other.
Yeah. Well,
hey, I know that rattle.
Yeah. Oh my God. That'll be deeply confusing. But my policy personally is, anyone that's directly asked me for a registry or like said to me, I want to buy you something, then I'll share the registry with that person. And then knowing that those people will then talk to other people who are in the family or in the group of friends, and then they'll disperse it, hopefully.
This actually brings me to the next topic. Coworkers buying stuff off your registry.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to share it with them or?
I've had one coworker ask outright.
Oh, really?
So I will give it to that coworker, and that's what makes me think it'll be in the ether a little bit among the coworkers, and then they'll know who to talk to.
Because that's not typically a Japanese thing. From my understanding, it's really uncommon. Even some people have never even heard of it before here.
Yeah, and that's another reason that Amazon is the way to go, because it's got the sort of the Western sensibility of it's set up for registries, but it's also useful here. So if you tried to go to a Japanese company or site, they probably don't even have the option to put one together.
No, I've never seen it.
Yeah. So Amazon has to be the way, and then it'll be your sort of probably more Western minded friends, like your other, expat friends will be the ones to think about it and ask for it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's the same. It's the classic Japanese thing of you go to a wedding and it's like you're on The Sopranos. It's like envelopes of cash coming out of the jacket pockets. It's more of the gift giving is just done differently, and registries are not a part of it.
I don't even think there's baby showers here, so I don't even think they'd give cash. I think it's more of just like a family thing after they're born. Although I'm not even sure about that. I doubt Moe's family will do that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of help to be had in other ways. Like, I don't know if we're diving too much into a totally different topic, but like the mother right after giving birth, I think will be in the hospital for about a week, and then a lot of Japanese mothers will go live with her own parents.
Right. Yeah, I've heard of this quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, and I don't think the timelines are set in stone or anything, but maybe spend a few weeks or even up to a couple of maybe 3 months where the mother lives with the parents. And in the old days, I think it was a bit more common. And if you had relocated to a new city, you would actually, take your baby to the hometown, maybe a couple hours away or whatever, and then apart from the father, and just get all the ducks in a row there, like how to take care of the basic baby things.
See, I get that. But it's the whole being apart from the father thing that just throws me and just makes me go like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, like, like first of all, as a soon-to-be dad, the thought of my wife taking our kid and just going somewhere else for a month is kind of crazy to me. Like, wait, I'm not going to get up and help feed this? Or like, you just don't need me?
Yeah. I've said many times in the past that I think that like Japan can be understood from the American perspective. Japan in many ways can still be understood as picturing it as like a Leave It to Beaver episode.
Oh yeah.
Like, dad puts on his hat and his suit and carries his briefcase and he goes to work, and mom stays home and is the homemaker. And that is not fully the reality in Japan, but it certainly exists in a more common way than it does in the United States anymore. Yeah. And so like this sort of leave the child rearing to the mother, and the dad'll do what he needs to or whatever. I think that, again, it's not the blanket statement that covers Japan, but it's still more of a norm than it would be in the West.
Is Ayumi gonna go and stay, or?
This kind of gets into some practical issues because our house is a pile of old garbage, and so the baby's due date is late February, and that's going to be right in the middle of some cold times in this house. And it just seems way easier. Her parents built a house just maybe 15 years ago, and it's really nice, like the what's called the yukadambo, which is the in-floor heating.
And super nice.
Yeah, well insulated and really like new and modern, and it's got enough space. They also built the house to accommodate sort of two families at once.
Planning ahead.
Yeah, well, it's another Japanese thing, I think, where people think, okay, say you build a house and you're middle-aged, you're thinking, my parents are nearing retirement age and may need like live-in help at some point.
Yeah.
So we can move, the grandparents' generation into another area of our house. So I think the thinking was when they built the house, we'll have a kitchen upstairs and then a small kitchen downstairs. And we'll have, bedrooms upstairs and an extra bedroom downstairs, just so one or two people could fully live on a different floor of the house. So that's all ready to go. It's all set up, and, at any moment you could move in have your own little kitchen, have your own room, nice. and that sort of thing in a well-heated and insulated house.
So would both of you guys go over there then?
There are talks. Yeah, it's being negotiated right now.
Okay.
My people are looking at it.
Our people are talking.
Yeah. So, we could do that, and it may come to that, and really just for the sake of it being easy and comfortable. As it is in our house now, we've got one wall unit that heats, most of the downstairs. We have nothing upstairs. So whatever temperature it is outside, that's the temperature inside of the second floor of our house.
Not even like an emergency, oh crap, it's below zero.
Yeah, we have none of that upstairs.
We're going downstairs tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If we want to live, follow me downstairs. And actually, I don't know how common this is, but in our house, through the really cold months, we kind of abandoned the upstairs and we set up shop downstairs almost entirely.
I think that's pretty common. We don't do that in our house.
Uh-huh.
We have the emergency heater on the wall.
That's good.
But most nights we don't even use it. We just have really thick blankets.
Mm-hmm.
And then our upstairs, our bedroom is above our living area, which has a wood fire stove in it,
mm-hmm.
which kind of radiates up.
Yeah.
So our bedroom never even gets that cold, even if it is negative.
Yeah, and that pipe goes through your bedroom, doesn't it, from the wood-fired stove?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's nice. We have no such luxury in this place, and we're also renting this place, so there's not much you want to do to, put money into it, or that you even could do. But the trouble is we've got the wall unit, and that heats up the downstairs well enough, but it's a very, dry air that comes out, and then you often wake up in the night with a totally dry mouth and throat if you leave that on. And I just don't want to navigate the whole newborn baby and then balancing humidifiers and heaters all in one room, and it seems like a massive pain to get through.
Thinking about this now, Japan is kind of a massive pain to raise a kid. Just from the humid summers where you're gonna die if you go outside too long, to the super cold, dry winters where you're gonna die if you go outside too long.
Yeah.
And then that range of trying to keep your house from molding or drying out.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah.
And now we're gonna have a newborn in this situation. It kind of scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. It scares me too, but then you realize at any moment that you're the result of thousands of years of people living in those sorts of conditions. So there are solutions to it. It's just figuring it all out and then dealing with the excess trouble that comes with doing things like, your house has no insulation. Good luck. You can survive it, but it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I know my wife's grandmother has an old house. Her house was built before they had electricity in that area. So the house was up, and then years later they came by and said, hey, we're installing electricity. Do you want in on this? And they ran lines to the house, and literally in that house, all of the outlets, you can see the gray wire stapled to the wall that leads to every switch and every outlet, and it's all exterior wiring on everything. And just knowing that even 1 or 2 generations ago, that's how everybody was raised. It's like, oh, well, it can be done. It's fine.
Yeah. Our house, before we renovated it, was almost the exact same way.
Oh, yeah.
There was, I don't know how they do wattage specifically, but the electrician told me that we had half as much power coming into the house as we needed for a modern home. So when we were upgrading everything, the guy was like, look, you just got to redo all of your electricity. And I was like, there's like 3 cables here. Just take them out.
Yeah. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah.
Spool them up over your arm, put in the new ones.
Yeah.
I've seen that in the house hunt. If you check the what's it called? The breaker box. It'll sometimes be labeled as to how many amps the house is running or whatever, the amperage.
Right. I think mine was 40. Now it's 80. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll see an old house that's at 30. This house is so old. When we moved in here, it was at 30. Damn. And when they said, do you want to upgrade that and we can make it 50? And I was like, yeah, go for it. I don't know how that works, but yeah, make it 50. And it was no big deal. They made it 50. Something magic happened. And now we've only blown the breakers a handful of times. So it's no big deal. But
like TV, microwave, fridge, like
yeah, all that stuff. You run the dryer and then you're microwaving something and turning on the hot water heater. But so no big deal. But it's all survivable. But it's just like, how many paces do you want to put yourself through when you've also got the 1,000 new things you have to learn about how to raise a baby as well? Right. So at the end of that equation, it just makes sense, because also my wife's parents live in town. So even if I do stay in this house most of the time, I can ride my bike there or drive there every single day, or stay there for a week or 2 at a time and then just come back here to pick up clothes and drop things off and that sort of thing. So it's pretty low stress, and you do get the benefit of 2 extra parents in the household during the first few months, helping out with a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be a help.
Yeah, so that may be the way that shakes out, but we're still talking about it.
Gotcha.
But you guys are going to be, one week in the hospital and then right back to the house, eh?
Yeah, which it's kind of crazy to think that she's going to be in the hospital for a week with the baby and I can't go in there or see him at all. Yeah. I'm really hoping things change by the time she gives birth, but I kind of doubt it. Our hospital is super strict in there. Yeah. They don't even let me into the hospital when she has an appointment. Like, I literally just have to stay outside.
Yeah, we should say this is like coronavirus measures as of November 2021, and these are changing all the time based on the caseload in Japan and sort of if you have outbreaks in your area and that sort of thing.
Which we haven't had any around here. It's been good for like a week or 2. It's been at 0.
Yeah. There's been a lull for sure, and then the policies tend to lag behind that. Yeah. My wife goes to a massive hospital for her appointments. And at that hospital, it's that I can go in. It's an enormous hospital, but I can't actually enter the room with her and the doctor as a corona measure to keep the numbers down. So I went with her early on to a series of appointments where it's like, yeah, go see this doctor, and then go to this other department. They'll do a blood sample, then go here and talk to this guy. And at all of those stations, I sat in the hallway, and she went into the room, and then she would come out. We would walk to the next place, and I would sit in that hallway. And that was sort of the nature of it.
When you were doing those, how were they? Did they record like the ultrasounds for you and that kind of stuff?
My wife would record them on her phone, just take a video of it.
Oh, really? That's it?
Yeah. And it's clear enough. I mean, these days it was all really good, and I could get the real clear picture.
That kind of surprises me. You guys are in a much bigger city than we are. Yeah. But ours has given us the option to bring a USB dongle.
Oh, wow.
Are they still called dongles?
They may be.
Anyway, so we bring one of those, and they say they can plug it into the machine, record the ultrasound, and then give it back so we can kind of have that for posterity. But last time they totally messed up. Like, I don't know if the person was new or just an idiot or something, but they like hit record, it was recording, and then they just yanked the thing out of the machine without hitting stop on the recording. And obviously I'm not there. Yeah. So I get this thing and I'm all excited. I plug it into my computer and they're just like error messages. Just like, you sons of bitches.
That's no good. Yeah. I want to say that if we propose something like that, we could maybe get away with it. But sort of the The standard operating procedure now is that my wife will take pictures of things as they happen, and they will print off the ultrasound photos like the old days. You get a little like almost Polaroid style picture that comes out.
We get that one too.
Yeah.
But they also forgot that one last time.
Oh,
they were just having a bad day.
Yeah, that's no good. Yeah, I wanted to say I met up with a guy a couple of months ago, and his wife had a child. And this was a couple of months back when Corona was quite a lot worse. And so the policy at that time, I don't know if it's the same for all hospitals, for all prefectures, or if it's changed now, if it's lightened up a bit. But his wife gave birth, and then he wasn't allowed in the delivery room whatsoever. So he was allowed to go be in the waiting room. And then I think after the birth happened, he could go and see the baby. But he was the only one.
Oh, that's cool, though.
Yeah, no other family. And they also have another child. That child wasn't allowed. It was literally just him as the father.
Oh.
And then for the week that she was in, the rule was that he could go in for 30 minutes per day and see her and the baby. And it was a pretty strict time limit. 30 minutes is up. Get out of here, buddy. And
you're going to give us Corona after that.
Exactly, yeah. And then every single day he would have to... He had a 2-year-old. The other child's a 2-year-old. He would have to sort of get somebody to watch the 2-year-old for about an hour while he was at the hospital and come out and pick up the kid again.
That's quite a feat in Japan, finding a babysitter.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know how he managed that.
Yeah, it was impressive. He may have dropped it off with a parent or something, or grandparents, I mean. But he said that it was kind of interesting because he didn't know if his 2-year-old understood that there was a new baby. Because like the 2-year-old couldn't really see the baby face to face. You don't know how much a 2-year-old is processing anyway. And then they would FaceTime on their phones, but it's like, oh yeah, that's my mom, and there's a kid there, but I don't know what the relationship is, you know?
I don't know. It's probably just YouTube to that kid.
Yeah, exactly. So he was never fully sure, but you know, that was a couple months ago. Now they're all living together, and I'm sure it's sunk in for everyone. But it was a very bizarre kind of beginning to that new baby's life.
Are they in this region? Are they in Kanazawa?
Yeah. Kanazawa.
So you'll probably have that similar experience.
I assume so, but you know, depending on how the winter goes, regulations could lighten up a little bit, and it might be a bit freer by that time, or could get worse and could be a lot stricter by that time. Like, who knows?
Yeah, you don't really know what the winter's going to do. You were mentioning before about workplace and your coworkers and stuff. Have you told everyone there?
Yes, we had. This was kind of a weird experience. You have to, you know, at some point you're going to break the news. You want to wait until you're at that certain number of weeks when it's basically 99% safe, you know, because in the early going, there's always a higher risk of miscarriage, and everybody, you know, abides by this rule. They don't, you know, make a big announcement until you're a few months in. And that time came and went, and I still hadn't really told all of my coworkers. And then, you know, we have meetings and stuff, and you can always get your name on the miscellaneous at the end of a meeting and then make an announcement at the end of a meeting. But then there were sort of, you know, let's wait. That was my, you know, decision, or kind of my opinion, is like, let's just be totally safe
just
about
in
this.
Case.
Yeah. So I pushed it back, you know, pretty well beyond the safe cutoff time, and we went well beyond that. And I just did the announcement a couple of days ago. The thing that made it weird was, like in all offices, like meetings are basically done by Zoom, and I do most of my business by Zoom these days.
Yeah.
And my computer's fine, Zoom is fine. I'm like a Zoom guru at this point, having dealt with it daily for a year and a half. And this meeting for this big announcement, when I'm like, man, this is massive. I only do this maybe once in my life.
Yeah.
The internet, like in my workplace, not even at home on my crazy Wi-Fi or anything, it was horrible. And so I could only hear about 50% of what anybody was saying at any given time. They were just totally cut out. Everyone was frozen. And so I was looking at like 20 frozen faces on Zoom, but I knew that I was still on because I would, you know, catch like 10 seconds of what somebody was saying, and then I would get 10 seconds of silence, and then 10 seconds again. And every minute, like the images on the screen would, you know, refresh themselves or whatever.
That's horrible.
So then it came time for me to announce, and I was like not knowing if I could even be heard, and I was in a half panic. And I said, can you can you hear me? Because I'm looking at like 20 frozen screens, and somebody gave me a thumbs up or something, and I was like, okay. So I announced, and also it's funny because there's not a lot to say. It's a massive thing, but then you say like, we're going to have a baby, next order of business. Like there's nothing that can really be said. I said, it's the due date is this, and they've told us the gender is this, and that's it. So that's all. Take it easy. And I said this to absolute silence and no facial responses, like nothing at all. And I wasn't fully sure that was actually going out. I was only
so horrible.
half confident. And it was kind of like it is fun to tell people.
Yeah.
Because people get excited and like it's a nice moment every time. And this was just speaking into a void of nothing.
Oh, that's horrible.
And afterward, it was good. People came up to me individually and said like, oh, congratulations, or sent me emails or what have you.
Nice.
So that was really good on a one-to-one basis after. But I was kind of looking forward to the big reveal in the meeting.
Yeah.
And it was all almost for nothing because I couldn't get any feedback.
Did you tell your boss first and then tell the group, or was this just a blanket surprise?
Yeah, I think this is like this is something everybody will have to navigate for themselves. But in many ways, your boss will need to know before even your parents would need to know, or before anyone in your personal life would need to know. Probably not for your case. You work remotely all the time.
Yeah, no, I still work for a company in America, so all my bosses are American. And
yeah. Like, especially in my wife's case, her job will sometimes involve some business travel.
Right.
Or long amounts of time, like being outside in the elements, or any number of things that would be difficult for a pregnant person to do. And so very early on, before we announced to anyone, I think the first people we sort of had to tell were my wife's bosses, to say like, hey, I can't do this and I can't do this other thing next week. And the reason is that I'm pregnant, like reluctantly telling them. And then, but I feel bad about that because it's like, I don't want to tell some coworkers before I'm telling family, but it's almost a necessity.
We definitely did not tell them first. I still haven't told my work. I'm kind of waiting till maybe closer to the holidays, like Christmas-ish. I don't know if I'm paranoid or if, maybe a little paranoid. Just, I don't want to do it yet.
We talked about it last week in the IVF episode, but we had like unsuccessful rounds of treatment in the beginning. And we mentioned the numbers. You're on your second go around, and we're on our sixth.
Right.
And so I don't know if you had this sink in as much as we did, but you do a round of fertility treatments, and then the result is not good. And then you have to like get through that emotionally. And then you do the next round and the result is not good. And then the third and the fourth and the fifth are all not good. And you start to learn the lesson of, it's a bad result every time. Yeah. So then to suddenly switch modes into like confident mode is very difficult to do. Like on the sixth go around. So then I really, on the personal level as a couple, you don't want to start like hyping each other up all the time with excitement because you both feel a little hesitant to do that, and you don't want to set yourself up for an even bigger like letdown based on all the hope you had going in. We kind of naturally played it a bit cool. We're both, personally excited about it, but we're trying not to overhype it to one another, I guess.
Yeah, I think this kind of goes back to my not planning yet as well. Mm-hmm. That kind of a little bit of fear, a little bit of overly cautiousness. I don't want to jinx it. Yeah. Go out, buy a crib, and then you get some bad news.
Yeah.
Because last time I did go out, like we got news, like it was like 9 weeks in or something. And I was like, sweet. All right. I went on Amazon. I was like, I'm going to buy some clothes and some stuff. And I got some stuff. And then we got horrible news. So I was like, I'm kind of gun shy.
Yeah.
About that right now.
And also the more people you tell, then the more people, if it does go bad, then the more people you have to inform.
We did that mistake as well. And so we haven't told as many.
Yeah. And then you get, I think it's pretty natural, but you like mentally you're gun shy, but it gets past the point of rationality because at a certain point in a pregnancy, I think it's, around 12 weeks, 13 weeks or something. I think that's the number.
Yeah, they say 12 weeks. what is it, 75%, 80%?
Yeah, and then if you let that go another few weeks, it increases to like a 99% certainty or something.
Yeah.
Around, again, please check the numbers, verify, but it's like 14, 15, 16 weeks or something, you're at that 99% certainty level. So then everything scientifically is telling you, like, this is nearly a sure thing now. It's going to be okay, but still mentally you've got all that baggage from the previous rounds.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's what delayed me in telling the work and what delayed me in sort of every step of the way, basically. Yeah. You always want to hedge your bets a little bit, but then at a certain point you do want to also experience the enthusiasm and the sheer joy of the whole process. So hopefully, and now that we're, like more than halfway through the pregnancy, I'm kind of in that mode a little bit more securely.
I'm feeling more confident, for sure. It's just the back of my mind. It's always going to be there, I think. Have you guys gone over any naming stuff yet? Because you know the sex now.
Yes, we do, and I guess I can reveal. They tell us it's a boy.
Nice.
Hey-o!
I mean, either way would be nice, but
yeah, it's another thing that I was talking to a friend about this recently. You know that they're going to tell you boy or girl, and there are exceptional circumstances, I'm sure, but in general, you're going to hear it's a boy or it's a girl,
right?
And then you go into that thinking, well, I don't really care either way.
Right.
It's fine. I'll be happy with the boy, happy with the girl. And then when they tell you the one that it's going to be, it's massively exciting anyway. And it's like the day before you hear, you're like, well, I don't really care which one. And it's like if somebody says, I'm going to flip a coin, and you're like, okay, heads, tails, doesn't matter to me. And then it's tails, and you're like, yeah, tails, baby! You still get this like high level of excitement.
But it's like, it's winning anything, basically.
Yeah,
at that point, like, they're giving you a gender for it. It doesn't matter which one it is, but they're telling you, like, yep, it's successful. And at this point, here's where we're at. And you're like, yes.
Yeah. It's good.
Next stage.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way, but it is like a confirmation of...
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. And you are yet to know. It's going to come soon.
Yeah, we have 3 more days. Then we go in for our next appointment, and they're telling us they're likely to find out then.
They say that if it's a boy, you know straight away. Sometimes... if it looks to be a girl, maybe it's a boy, but they're just obscuring important piece of anatomy that would determine that it's a boy. So a girl is sometimes like indeterminate, but then the boy is like, okay, visual confirmation, that's a boy.
Yeah, I've actually been giving this a lot of thought. I don't really care. I was thinking, like, does it even matter to find out? And, like, coming up with names and that kind of thing, I've been kind of going back and forth to myself. Like, what kind of, should I pick a boy's name? Should it be, like, a both name? Does it matter?
Yeah.
And I still don't know. I'm on the fence. Moe's kind of the same. She doesn't really care. I don't know. Do you have a strong opinion?
For me, this is the age-old problem, naming a kid who's going to kind of exist in 2 cultures. You kind of want that name that bridges the gap. So you don't want to choose a crazy long name in either language, English or Japanese, because it's punishing the family of the other culture,
Yeah.
So, if you named your kid like Toranosuke or something, then your grandmother in America is never going to wrap her mind around that. And then if you name your kid, I don't know. I had a distant aunt named Fabezalette.
What?
It's a combination of Phoebe and Elizabeth and Charlotte. And I never met this person. This was in the old days.
Oh my God.
But there is a Fabezalette. And I love that name, but there's no chance you would choose Fabezalette and then, throw that into the katakana machine and get 45 characters out of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so you don't want to go crazy and punish either side. So then, by default, everybody chooses a really short name. You need like maybe 3 letters, 4 letters or something.
Yeah.
And just in Japanese, 1 or 2 sounds. And then it'll be easy enough. But then the trouble is, that's the pool that every interracial couple chooses from.
Right.
And so then among all your friends, they have kids and all those names are gone already. So a lot of the common names, Ken is actually one. It works perfectly in both languages, but nobody chooses Ken for some reason. I don't know any little Kens.
I don't know any young people named Ken. It seems to be an older generation name.
Yeah, for sure. Probably in both.
Like a Margaret.
Yeah, it has that sound. I think in Japanese as well. And in English. I noticed in the U.S., I was looking at the top 1,000 baby names, based on, who's filed their names with the government. They published that list in the U.S.
I've looked.
Yeah, and I scrolled through all 1,000, said them all out loud, and I noticed Kai is really popular in the US.
Really popular.
And it's also a very easy Japanese sound. Kai makes total sense in Japanese.
Yeah.
But then you're choosing... I've got friends with kids named Kai, and then it's you're getting into popular name territory, and you kind of want to choose something off the beaten trail, I guess.
We have two mutual friends, both with their boys named Kai.
Yeah, loads of Kais around.
So that's definitely off the table for me if I have a boy.
Yeah, there's a good Japanese girl's name is Erika, which is strangely...
I actually know quite a few Erika girls in Japan.
Yeah, and it's just Erika.
It's a good
Erika.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's off the table too.
Yeah. There's, I know someone named, this is a Japanese name that was kind of new to me for a girl, but it's Judy, like spelled Juri.
Oh, Judy.
Sounds like Julie.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. But again, I know someone named that. And so it's hard to just, to name your kid something and be like, hey, yeah, we named our kid your name when you're telling that person.
Right.
So it's always awkward. But there's obviously like Leo is one that's popular between the two. I've got a friend with a kid named Leo.
Yeah.
There's, just go through all your
I think
friends'
Leo seems like a troublesome name because it could be Rio.
Yeah.
Because the katakana or hiragana, whatever you choose to use for it, is kind of indistinguishable.
Yeah. There's Ryo and Dio and various ways in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who even cautions against the two-way name because he says that it's so close, but it's not exact in the two languages most of the time. And then that opens the door to its own type of confusion.
The kid could grow up and never feel like they have a foot in either. I mean, you could be opening like a whole bunch of psychological worms with that.
Oh, identity, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like I've got some Taiwanese friends and Chinese friends, and it's common in those cultures to sort of have your name in your native language and then just choose a fully different Western name.
Yeah.
So I guess there are cultures where just like a full-on double name is commonplace.
Yeah. I don't understand how they don't get confused all the time.
It seems confusing.
Somebody's calling a name and you're like, oh, wait, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be a transition period in the beginning.
Yeah.
Awkward. But it seems to work. So I guess that should be okay. But anyway, we've... My brother-in-law, I should point out, when we told the family chat that we're going to have a boy, he said, Tim Duncan Whittinghill. Perfect. Just go Tim Duncan. Greatest power forward of all time. Big Spurs fan over here. So could be Tim Duncan Whittinghill. And that really stuck. And now we call the child Tim Duncan. So I think it's good to have, during the pregnancy, have a name that you're not married to, but some way to refer to the baby with a proper noun seems nice to me. So we call the kid Timmy or Tim Duncan, but I'm also worried that it's going to have too much momentum, and then I'll actually have to call the child Tim Duncan, which is very bizarre as a name, I think.
Just one word. Just mush them together. Tim Duncan.
Yeah, Tim Duncan. Spell it all as one word. Man, that could be good. That's the out.
Actually, Tim's not bad, especially if you kind of stretch it.
There's, you get into the trouble of a lot of people would want to change the TI to a CHI.
That's true.
And go chi, but then you could spell it with the te and the small e, and you could get a good T sound. But then you've got those small sort of katakana letters you have to mix in. But
yeah.
It's nothing lines up perfectly, so you're always going to have trouble.
Yeah. This actually kind of lines up perfectly with the segment I want to cover today. So if you don't mind, can we jump over to Japanese of the day?
Yeah, please.
I know we've covered a lot so far, but I have a specific gripe I want to get to.
Yeah.
And this isn't baby related or pregnancy related or anything. This is just living in Japan and the frustrations that go along with it.
Yeah.
I want to say a week ago, I was at a kombini, and they have, on the counter, they have a rack with steamed buns cooking all the time. In Japan, they're called nikuman, but they also make one that has like pizza sauce and cheese inside of it.
Yeah.
And it's just called a pizzamon.
Yeah.
Or, as is properly said by the Japanese, pizzamon.
Yeah.
And so there's a slight distinction there.
Yeah.
So I was in the store trying to order some of those, and I was like, one pizzamon, please. And I said this all in Japanese, what I thought was perfect.
Yeah.
said, Hitotsu pizzaman, onegaishimasu. The lady looked at me like I was speaking English to her.
Yeah.
I swear to God, she looked at me like, what? And I was like, I went over to the thing and I was like, pizzaman, one.
Pointing at it directly.
Pointing at it directly. She still looked at me like I was an idiot. And I was like, what the fuck what am I saying wrong here? Like,
yeah.
And then my wife was with me at the time because she was trying to let me practice Japanese, so she wasn't saying anything.
Yeah.
So finally she says to the lady, she's like, pizzaman, onegaishimasu. And the lady behind the counter was like, hi, okay. And I was like, what the hell did you say different? She's like, it's not pizzaman, it's pizzaman. And in katakana, the way that they break the word pizza down is to put it in he and sa with the two kind of diacritic marks that go along with those to change them to pi and za.
Yeah.
So it's not sa, it's za.
Yeah.
And if you say it any other way, nobody will understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Just to ramp up the complexity 1 degree on that is if you go to an Italian restaurant these days, it's getting more and more common for them to really try to get that Italian pronunciation on the menu. And they'll write it in katakana as pizza.
Oh, no.
And they're like trying to nail it down. And so I've been, in the last few years, I'll be in a restaurant that's trying to lean hard on the Italian and it'll say pizza for whatever. And I'm like, wait, isn't this pizza? And then my wife explains to me, yeah, but this is like the Italian pizza, not the American pizza. And so we'll call it a pizza. And
so the pizzaman is American.
Well, it's like, I guess it's like the original, like whenever pizza came over, whoever said it the first time and they put it in katakana, they went pizza. But pizza is gaining some ground. So now you've got a little bit of both.
I feel like anybody who came over here probably said pizza.
Yeah, pizza. And then
I can't imagine anybody coming over to Japan and not saying pizza.
Yeah, I don't know who transcribed it on
Maybe they had a lisp or something and the guy was like, oh, okay, pizza.
Oh, wow. What a alternate history that would make. Like, the guy who introduces all English words to Japan had a speech impediment. And
I feel like that's the case
sometimes. It might
sometimes.
have been the case. I wanted to point out, just speaking of katakana, katakana can be a minefield. For people who don't know, this is the script. It's technically a syllabary, but you might also call it an alphabet. It's like the type of lettering used to signify words that were adopted from other languages. There's nothing like this in English, obviously. English just has an alphabet and you use that to make words. But Japanese famously has kanji and hiragana and katakana. Those are the 3 main alphabets.
They also have romaji.
Oh, yeah. Romaji, which is our alphabet, but I guess with its own pronunciation spins.
I don't know why they have to have that and the katakana.
Yeah. It's wacky. And the hiragana and katakana are syllabaries. They're, sound representative characters. The kanji is what's called a logography, which is like, characters like you see in Chinese,
I've
of
never
course.
heard this before.
Yeah. We're going deep here.
Wow.
But katakana is relatively simple looking, and it's quite angular, and usually, like the English alphabet, each character is only a couple of strokes or a couple of lines.
Yeah, I think in America, when I've seen Japanese, it's typically the katakana characters.
Yeah.
Because they look more appealing to be written.
Yeah. They look cool, like it as a typeface or something. And in America, you'd probably be having a lot of that overlap anyway with like, they're advertising something that is maybe American, so then they would use it in katakana. But for anybody who's already familiar with katakana, one thing that blows my mind is not too long ago, vu became a thing. There's famously problems with B and V in Japanese, like the B and V are sort of meshed into one. And so it's like the RL distinction. B and V is also very difficult. But I was looking this up, just a little bit of a dive earlier. Sometimes you'll see, instead of like Bobby Boobay Bowl, which is, kind of a hybrid B and a V for all of the vowel sounds, they'll take the U, the katakana for U, and they'll put the tenten, like the 2 little marks, like it looks like a quotation mark, close quotation mark or something in English. So an U with that little tenten is a vu. And it's like a relatively newly adopted thing. And I was wondering, why is this almost never seen, but sometimes seen? Sometimes they would use bu, but sometimes you will see a vu. And I I read that in 1954, there's a group in Japan called the Council for Japanese Language, and they made the decision at that time to favor the Babi Bube Bo version. They set it in stone. But then in 1991, they reversed their decision and said that to more accurately represent the foreign sound of a V, you can use the VU, and then you can put a lowercase or a very small, like you can get a va or something out of it.
But now you've already messed up like 6 generations.
Yeah, exactly. So
man.
They went back and forth on it, which is why you sometimes see it, but you don't see it in other times. And then the real problem is that Japanese doesn't have a clear, like a word in Japanese that would have a vu.
Right.
They might have a bu here and there, but they don't have a vu. So then when you're teaching children their katakana in the beginning, you would have to teach them this character for which there is no word. And it's already covered by bu in a lot of things violin or something.
Yeah, this has come up quite a bit actually recently with coronavirus because vaccine.
Yeah.
This has thrown me in so many conversations I've had. I've been like, yeah, I got my vaccine.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you? And I'm trying to convey this in Japanese. I'm trying to say vaccine.
Yeah.
Nobody understands what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. And isn't it...
this is like a daily recurrence for me.
Yeah. For vaccine, this might be like German somehow, but it's a wa at the beginning. This is more Japanese of the day. Wakchin is vaccine, which is supposed to be the same word, but it's quite different.
Quite different.
So anyway, yeah, someday they might change it to vaccine or vaccine or something, but I don't know.
Because lean hard into the German.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. Nuclear vessels, Star Trek, anybody? So
he was Czech though.
Oh, he was, yeah. Anyway, 1954, they went with Babi Bube Bo. In 1991, they reversed course and went with VU, but there's no correlative like Japanese sound for VU, so they tend not to teach children that, so nobody learns about this hidden VU katakana, and that's why we're sort of stuck with the bu in most cases. But anyway, yeah, so that's Japanese of the day. We may or may not have time for my question for you is...
we do have some time for that,
All
but sitting here, I've totally lost my question for you.
Okay.
But I do have questions that we could get into.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to run down the list of questions that I've come up with. Japanese parents don't say the word I love you to their kids. How do the Japanese perceive other cultures that do?
We're already two dads, like mostly talking about what our wives are going through.
Right.
To be two foreign guys talking about what most Japanese people are thinking.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my mind around it.
I'm not going to even try to answer that. How would they perceive it? I have no idea how they would perceive it.
Yeah.
But I know that I don't experience a lot of Japanese people that I know saying, I love you.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever heard any of their kids say it to them.
Yeah.
The ones that I've hung out with.
Yeah.
So I know that it's a thing.
Well, my take on a lot of like often repeated things, I love you in certain settings is like very significant and important. But then I love you in other contexts is like, that's what I say every day when I leave the house. And it ultimately becomes kind of a goodbye, like mentally.
Yeah.
It's more significant. You wouldn't say it to your coworker. But I think like there are things that probably cover up for this. It's almost, I don't know, I might be getting too far into the weeds, but the classic Japanese like genki desu ka, you would naturally want to translate as how are you? But genki, means being like vigorous and full of energy.
Right.
So if you directly translate it, it's saying like, are you full of energy? But nobody would ever directly translate it that way. They would say, how are you?
Right.
And do the same sort of what's called socio-pragmatic legwork, where it's like, how is it used in actual speech?
Yeah. I know the actual Japanese for I love you, but it sounds very weird when you hear people say it.
Yeah. And it's similar to how like every Western person knows sayonara, but Japanese people tend to never say sayonara.
You never hear it.
Yeah, no. It's always an otsukare-sama or mata ne or ja mata.
Sayonara is very permanent.
Yeah, it's
like goodbye. I'm never going to see you again.
Yeah. You might you should picture somebody waving a handkerchief on a train platform as it pulls out of the station or something to use sayonara. Anyway, yeah. So there are certain words I think that they are useful in some contexts, not useful in other contexts, and maybe just the I love you doesn't slot in well anywhere.
And that about wraps it up for today. I think we're about out of time. So thank you for making it this far and listening to our podcast today. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us on Twitter at jpopspodcast or via email at info@thejpops.com.
Hi, see you later.
See ya. Bye-bye.